or like he hits him in the head, and eventually kills him. And then like the guy who was making the beat or the music, he like stops, and then he like looks at him, starts to freak out, and then he kills him too. And then after that, he just like stares at the fire, like stares like around, and then he just like walks into the forest, and that's where he disappears. But yeah, no, but I don't know. It sounds better in the writing though. But
in the writing. Okay, so we're live. Okay. So
we're live right now.
Yeah, we're live right now.
Yo, cut the part. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry. I got it towards the end. Don't worry. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the HT Cast. You guys know who I am, HT or Jesus, depending how well you know me or how close you can get to me. And today, we'll be having a conversation with a very close person. I'm not going to go in detail for the sake of him saying his perspective of his world, but a very close person to me. His name is Oscar. Oscar, what's good? How you doing, man?
Hey, Jesus, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right. How's it feel kind of being in this environment? This is, it's a little weird, right, at first?
At first, yeah, but then I got comfortable towards, like, the more I, like, hanged around, the more comfortable I got.
Yeah, it's lovely to just catch a vibe, right?
Yeah.
And everything's good.
Yeah.
So where you been, Oscar? I mean, where you been? I know, it's been 2-3 days since you landed?
Yeah, landed in Wednesday at night, and then before that, yeah, I was in Turkey. Spent some time there, and then just decided to come back to visit some family, and yeah.
So
I'm here.
So how long you been in Turkey? How long you been over there?
Turkey. Been there for like about 7 months now.
7 months.
Yeah, it flew by quick because I was doing some school, and with working, the time just flew by really quick, and so I'm gonna be there for 2 years.
Right.
And yeah, it's already been half a year, and
it flew by fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time flies by fast, especially when you're doing something, especially when you're like actually moving forward, just with general life. So, it's your first time out of the country, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, have you been to Mexico yet? Well, technically that doesn't count for us because it's like right there.
No, yeah, I've been to Mexico when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I guess it doesn't really count because it was by the border, so
yeah.
We just went there and came back.
Well, this is the time you leave this continent to go to a different continent. Let's just say it like that. So, what's kind of like the hardest thing? What's like kind of the general biggest thing for you? Like what to adapt? What have you noticed? How you experience this? How are you experiencing this international travel so far?
Pretty cool. You can get by around easy. I think the biggest thing it would be the language barrier, because I was trying to have a conversation one time with this dude, and then like he just kept on passing me his phone to like type what I wanted to translate, and we were doing that the whole time, and it took like a few. I don't know, like it was like long to like have a conversation.
It was hard to have like a general conversation at first, right?
Yeah.
Because you had to use these things to translate, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the most complicated thing.
Yeah. Most people, they do speak English, but for those that don't, I guess there could be a lot of confusion and well, I guess it's the same thing, misunderstanding, but
okay.
Yeah.
So what's the little things you've noticed about that culture, about the Turkish culture, and about just that environment over there?
Yeah, one thing I noticed is that this might be a personal opinion, but they like care how they present themselves when they're out in the streets. So they do have a little bit of fashion going on, but overall they are aware of how they dress, or they like make sure they dress how they want to dress so they can appear good to the public.
Professional, formal, they're real meticulous, like somebody of something, right? Just there's something going on, right?
Yes.
So you notice that right away.
Yeah.
And And don't say exactly where you're at, but like the area where you're at. Is it the city? Is it the countryside?
It's a little bit far from the city, but where I live, it feels like a city because there's like tall buildings and tall apartments.
Oh, okay. You're just in a different part of the city, basically.
Yeah, space. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And where I live, it's the people there are pretty nice and but like I said, like you can tell like they walk with like pride because they like want to be looked at. They want people to notice them. And
That's interesting. Okay.
yeah.
And why do you think that's it? Why, from you actually being there and interacting and eating next to these people sometimes, like what do you think? What's your notion on that? Why do you think?
I don't know. I think well, in my perspective, as somebody from another country visiting or I guess living there,
Mm-hmm.
they do notice like someone who doesn't belong. So I get a lot of looks, and sometimes I feel like, oh, do I like look ugly, or are they just like looking at me because they just
You're
want
different.
to know? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty normal to stare there because you can say that when you're staring at somebody, you're not like checking them out sexually or romantically. You're like basically like checking a walking art piece, you know?
Gotcha.
You're like checking like a art piece
Right.
walk. And I think that's where we can connect, where like they like to dress
Mm-hmm.
because they want to be looked at, and you know, they're like a walking art piece.
So that
They like
and that's interesting. Did you hear that from somebody directly, or did you just come up with that on your own?
No, I did a little bit of research when I went to Turkey. I just read that they do like to stare, especially especially people coming from other countries. But then like I started to like notice like nobody really wants to look bad out there because
or anything of that nature.
no, you can say it's like a giant museum in that country because people like to stare and
Because
Yeah,
the
they're
aesthetics, it seems like the aesthetics is always up to par.
Yeah.
You could say something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So you've been in Turkey for the past, what did you say, half year?
like
Half year you've been in
Half
Turkey.
year.
How long would you say it took you to adapt and actually just be like, damn, like actually just live in Turkey without thinking about it, where you just woke up, go to sleep, and you were not really thinking about it that, oh, I'm in Turkey.
No, yeah. So I think it was like a month or two where every day I like woke up and I was like, man, I'm really in Turkey.
So like 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, I'm pretty adaptable. The food, anything I could eat, anything. But there's like small stuff that I don't like, but I'm open to do anything. So my first few days when I arrived, the first thing I did was get comfortable in my apartment, and then I went out to just check out the neighborhood, and then I like walked into a restaurant, and I luckily he spoke English, so I was able to order food.
Right.
And yeah, like I said, like I was just like shocked to be at another country far from Colorado, and I was like, wow, I'm really here.
So it took about like what 2 or 3 months for you to adapt, and then you also said that you generally are an open-minded person.
Mm-hmm.
How important would you think that would be when you're exploring something like that, especially when you've never traveled internationally, you've never been to this other country that's most of the time it's definitely gonna be different from wherever you're coming from, even if you're coming from another third world country, right?
Yeah, right.
So would you say being open-minded and being open to adapt and explore is it's been helpful?
Yes, I say it helps to be a little bit open-minded, because that's how you can experience the other culture, you know? If you're not open-minded, you're gonna enclose yourself and you won't be able to take in what like the people or like what the vibes or like what the environment is offering you, you know?
Gotcha.
So you got to be open-minded to take in those energies, to take in
to actually
like,
experience it and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And actually understand it too. Because if you're gonna live there, you definitely have to understand it, because you're gonna coexist in this culture and be right.
Yeah, exactly.
So from your perspective, from you working a half a year in Turkey, well, what would you say would be the 5 cons and the 5 pros of living in Turkey from a person that's coming from the U.S.?
Person coming from the U.S. Well, number one con, the money.
Why the money?
$1 over there is like about 20 Turkish lira. That's the currency that they have, and like with the U.S. dollar, you can live comfortable over there.
So that would be a pro, right?
Oh yeah. Pro. Sorry.
That would be a pro. So okay, so pro. First pro is that because they are a third world country, the American money is worth more over there because of their economic status, right?
Yes.
So that's the first pro. So obviously, you got some American money, so you can live comfortably on the little would be deemed a little here, right? That's kind of the thing. How did you feel when you kind of noticed that, like
the currency?
Yeah, like how when you seen that difference, or were you already aware of it?
I was aware when I arrived, but when I was actually out there spending stuff, I didn't realize how cheap it was, or like how much US dollars I spent when I looked at my bank account, and like I realized,
I didn't spend nothing.
Yeah, it's not bad, because right now if you go to Walmart and you buy like a handful of stuff, it's gonna be like $50 to $60, but I could get a cart full of stuff, and that would cost me like the same price.
Okay, so the first pro is that because of the economic status, third world country, American money is better, so you're coming from here, so you're gonna live a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
So what's the second pro?
The second pro is that you're literally by other countries. So we talked about a little bit about moving to a different continent, right?
Yeah.
So Turkey, it's a part of Europe, so that's one continent right there.
Right.
And it's also part of Asia, so that's another continent. And it's pretty cool too, because you can literally travel to Asia by like crossing the bridge, by crossing the river. So
what part of Asia can you like do that bridge thing?
No. So the city where I live, it's in the European side, but the continent is split by a river, so you can just like cross the bridge, still be in Turkey, but it's considered Asia.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
I see. So it's literally like just up the street type of situation.
Yeah. So I can say I've been to Asia.
Okay.
That continent.
So you would say that would be the second pro?
Yes, because to also include, because you can travel to other countries in Europe, and it won't take you that long. It's like a 2-hour.
It's like a regular drive bus for us to like Boulder or something, or to Golden or something.
Yes, just like a 2-hour flight, and you'll be in another country. Yeah,
different continent, right?
Yeah,
so, okay.
You can also drive.
What's the third one?
The third one, a pro. The city where I live, you can meet a lot of people from all around the world.
Is that a tourist city where you're at? Like maybe like that's where everybody kind of lands?
Yes.
Okay.
Istanbul.
Okay.
Istanbul. I feel like I made more friends from other countries than Turkish, because the pro is that you'll meet people from all over the world there.
Right.
Germany, South Africa, Australia. You'll meet all kinds of people there. So I think that's one cool thing, that you can make connections.
International people.
Yeah, and not just like the
Turkish, right?
The local people there.
The local people. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any other pros?
Or
is that would you say that would be your top 3?
Yeah, I think those are my top 3.
What would be the cons of so far that you've experienced from like your personal perspective?
So like the cons of like living there, or just for like to visit?
Living there, because you've lived there.
Living there? Okay.
I think if you visit anywhere, you enjoy it for a couple of days a week, right? Because you don't have to be there, right?
Yeah. So the cons, I guess this could be kind of like halfway to, is the language, like
the Turkish language.
Yeah, like it's a cool language.
Right.
If you learn a few words, and I feel like you would get by pretty easy. But to go back to what we were talking about, the language barrier, I think that's one con. I know there's more people that speak English, but for those that don't speak English, it's kind of hard to get what you want, or to be where you want to be. So the language barrier, I think it's the con.
The language barrier, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other cons to that?
Let's see.
I sent you the link, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not really. I think that I got more pros to live in Turkey than cons because, like I said, I'm open-minded, so I'm not picky about much stuff. I'm not picky about the food. I'll try the food. Like, I'll try all kinds of food. Yeah, there's like nothing like bad about Turkey, you know. I guess that's my opinion. I know that there's earthquakes happening there. There's like a few terrorist groups because when I lived there, a explosion happened like in the downtown area.
Yeah, I did hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I feel like I guess one con is that it's vulnerable for terrorists to hit.
Gotcha.
Because it's also close to like
other vulnerable places.
Yeah, other vulnerable places.
Stuff of that nature might occur, right?
Yes.
So you said that to you like it by the same.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it. You feel
definitely.
you feel comfortable. You feel comfortable continue to work out there, right?
Oh yeah.
So what would be the next city for you? No, you went to Spain actually.
Yeah.
Let's touch on a little bit of that because I seen you with the horses, man. You're looking good out there.
I went to Barcelona.
That's the one time, because I'm not that type of person, but I seen somebody's picture and I was like, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
That's the one time, because I don't do that type of situation. But when I seen you with the horses in the landscape on the mountains, the old building, the old church, I was like, wow. Yeah, I gotta go touch down one time. You know?
Yeah, that place was the monastery, the Montserrat, I think I said that right. But yeah, like we're a little bit far from the mountains because that's where the horse riding was, and it was so beautiful, man. It was mesmerizing. It was cool. I would definitely recommend it.
No, yeah, after I seen those photos, I was like, yeah, that's a must. What would you say was the most memorizing moment or thing, or just being in Barcelona?
The architecture.
Architecture is just that ancient architecture that doesn't go away, huh?
So. One cool thing, you know how like in the cities, like when you turn to a building, it's like a right triangle. You like turn and go like this.
Yeah.
So in the buildings over there, they don't have buildings like that. You just cut right through. So like
it's like the alleyway almost, right?
Yeah.
It looks like an alleyway.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a shape of like a hexagon.
Yeah.
So that's how the buildings are, and I think the way that or the people who had that city set up, they were I don't know, like they just made it look cool. Like it was so cool. Like I just like the architecture, like the buildings, like how the city was made. It was cool.
Okay. So we kind of got a quick little Snapchat of where you've been, right? Obviously we're not gonna give a lot of details because not everything needs to be said. But you've been in Turkey for the past half year. So let's get back to you a little more, right? Because you said earlier you're an open-minded person. You've always been. You're easy to adapt. You kind of are curious to other cultures, because right, you've always had that, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of says to your intelligence. But where do you think that comes from you? Where did you develop? Why is that a thing for you? Why is that like one of your many tools in your kit that you have available?
That's a good question. I think when I was younger, I was always curious. Like, I don't know if it was the art that I was into, because you have to be open-minded with art, you know?
That goes without saying.
Yeah, like, you got to be open-minded, like, to experience and work with, like, different things to make, like, a bunch of cool stuff.
Right.
I think it was that. I played a lot with Legos. I don't know how that would tie into it, but with Legos, like, for example, sometimes my mom would get me like random stuff, right?
Yeah.
Stuff that I probably wouldn't buy back then, but I would still have it. Yeah, I would still have it. I would still play with them. I would still do cool stuff with them.
Yeah.
And I think I also got it from my mom too, because when she migrated over here in the States, she also didn't have many choices, and so she had to be open of like
trying different things, surviving in a different manner.
Yeah, she had to adapt,
literally. So you think it's just the kind of a
environment
family
that it's a environment that I grew up in, and yeah, that's.
So
I think that's where.
Let me ask you, because I think this is important to get on camera and get on a recorded piece. Talk about your mom more. Like, what is your mom? Who is your mom? What is she to you as a mom? What is she to you as a woman? What does she like mean? Like, describe her a little bit from your perspective.
Yeah. So my mom, to start off, she's a immigrant from Mexico. Came here like in the 1990s, 1994 to be exact. Mm-hmm. She came here to have like a better life, as most people do.
Yeah.
My mom is a very lovable person. She's very funny. If you would see her hang out with like her friends, she would be the one making all of them laugh and like cracking jokes all the time and being very positive, you know.
She has like a certain charisma, like you would say, right? Like she just has this kind of contagious charisma when like, because the little bit of I experience what I have experienced, like as soon as she gets going, she's literally the life of the party.
Yeah.
Like she has like that gift, you know what I mean? So let's talk a little bit deeper and like and try to be like in an honest way, right? How did you grow up? What have you learned from that environment you've grown up from?
I learned that it takes.
But first, describe where did you come from? How would you describe your childhood?
My childhood,
to somebody that doesn't know you.
I remember moving a lot. We wouldn't have like a set house. We would always like move and like rent out the places. So that's where adaptability came from too, you know, moving around.
Facts.
The environment I grew in, there's like, you had to be dedicated to something that you liked. You always have to like stay busy. You just can't like sit around too much. Even if you would like stay busy with your hands. You'd like either draw or just write stuff down or do something, you know. I feel like staying busy is something that I've seen a lot in the house.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's touch a little bit on that. Mm-hmm. So is that where your creativity started? Is that where you started being curious towards that, where you would just try to keep your attention on something? Let's just say, because we need to say positive, right?
Right.
So what was it? Writing, drawing, doodling, reading? What was the thing that? Because you're a creative dude. You're very you're design conscious. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing that I do appreciate you, and one thing me and you connect a lot on.
Oh yeah.
But was it writing? Was it doodling? Was it the music? Was it your mom cracking jokes? What was that creativity? What did it start coming from?
A little bit of writing, music, and art. During my childhood, my mom would always listen to music when she was cleaning, cooking, or like always like have like the radio on and play like Spanish songs. Compared to my brother, I grew up more with like older Spanish music, and he didn't. So he does like Spanish music like from like the 80s or from the 90s and below, I guess.
So you would say that you actually enjoy like the older like Mexican music?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I did not know that about you.
And then like writing.
Yeah.
I would always enter into a essay contest back in elementary and back in
like what grade would you say?
Started in like the 4th or 5th grade, and you know, actually this would tie too with the Nuggets being in the championships. My first essay, I won Nuggets tickets.
For real?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was like in the 5th or 4th grade. I won 2 tickets and my mom came with me, and it was cool because we were able to go to the basketball court for like a little bit, say hi to the players. That was back when Carmelo Anthony was in the Nuggets.
And Iverson and all that.
Yeah.
So Damn, I didn't even know that. So you want some nuggets tickets on your first essay. Do you remember what that essay had to be about?
No, I don't remember. I just remember it was like a 2-page, or no, I think back in my grade, I don't think they would make anybody make like a 2-page essay. It was like probably like a 1.5 maybe, like, or it was probably like a 1-page front and back maybe, but I don't remember what it was about. It's been a long time.
Okay, so now I want to get a little bit, because as we mentioned, me and you kind of connect on the creative part,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I just mentioned, you're very design conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've started a brand, we started a company, right? So what would you say is creativity? What is this thing that we all seem to enjoy so much, so that gives us so much, that fuels us, that helps us out in those dark moments? What is creativity to you? What is that?
I don't know. That could be...
It's a complicated question though, right?
That could be mysterious, because to think about like the first humans that like started to like paint on the walls, like where their creativity came from. I think it's something special that we have like in our soul. I don't know, like...
So are you one of those believers that creativity is part of our nature? It's that thing that separates us as a species from every other species on this earth.
Yeah.
Are you a believer in that? Like that it's part of us. Creativity exists because, like how you were about to describe it, it's part of our soul, right? It's part of what we're doing, right?
No, we're right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're not the only species. I feel like chimpanzees and like...
I would say dogs and stuff like that too.
Yeah, like... excuse me. Like, I feel like... I don't know, yeah, like, it's like something mysterious. I feel like something inside of us wants to express, like, how we feel, like, what we see, what we experience, and that's how we make stuff and be creative. But
yeah, because we are also conscious beings, right?
Yeah.
We feel emotion. We're emotion. We 100% are conducting an emotional energy, right?
Yeah, and maybe to like explain it better, like, you know how we like have words for like sad, angry, or happy.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like something that's not named that we can't name, and that's
it's that thing. It's that spark.
Creativity. It's
that spark that we get.
Yeah.
Whatever that spark is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's that, you know.
So,
it's yeah.
And because as you continue to, like, life continues to progress for you, is it more difficult for you to embrace the creativity? Is it easiest? Where do you stand on that?
To me, I feel like the older I was getting, I feel like it was hard to be creative. Like, I feel like the momentum, like once you stop that momentum, it gets harder. And I think that's my problem. I feel like I get very creative at one point in the year, and then
Do you know what
stop.
Do you know what point that is? Is it a season? Is it spring? Is it fall?
Oh, I don't know.
Winter?
No, I think it comes and goes. Like,
it just depends.
Yeah, so I feel like stopping the momentum.
So, would you say you struggle a lot with writer's block? To put it in that way, I'm not saying because you strictly write. I'm just saying, just creatively, you kind of struggle. Like, have you ever got a writer's block?
Oh yeah,
they're so annoying.
Yeah,
they make you feel so dumb. That's like the worst thing as a creative, is where you can stand. It's helpful if you can get out of it, but so you think you struggle with creative's block or writer's block in that way?
Yeah, to put it in that way, yes, I do, and I feel like that's normal. I feel like that's
the fight. That's the fight, because
yeah,
to me, and if you disagree or anything, or correct me if I'm wrong, let me know, please. But to me, creativity, it's natural to us 100%, but for some reason it doesn't seem that it was meant to be really made in this reality. Like because just think about it. Every time you've come up with an idea, you've come up with a design, you wrote something, you figured how to solve something in regular life, it's almost like you left this place for that moment, that second, that minute, or however long it took you to get to that idea, right? It's like you almost forget, like, oh, I'm just in my apartment, right? But you're lost in this amazing thought process, and you're seeing these other worlds, right? Because I really think we have to go somewhere else to really explore our creativity in that way. Because I think this reality, for the most part, it's made for like just the normalcy of what we understand human life is, right? Having kids, family, going to work, kissing the wife, having a barbecue with the friends, the family, in the weekend. That's it, right? It's kind of just made for that, right?
Right.
And to be and I think for me personally, a lot of times when I get my writer's block, it's because I can't find inspiration in this reality. Nothing's ever enough to give me that spark where I'm like, there we go, there's something, right?
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like the best part about it is that, to me, I love to absorb what happens when I sleep, because I have these crazy dreams, and that's another reality,
Literally.
Yeah, so I feel like you can like work it there and bring that stuff back here. But
okay, so how long have you been having those dreams?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, it's just like...
It's just an example.
Yeah, an example. Like, sometimes I'd be having cool dreams, and, there are some, like, movie directors or, like, people who make movies or music, they get these ideas from their dreams, and they bring them back to this reality.
100%.
And it's pretty cool,
It's pretty cool.
Right.
What was the last time you experienced that, where you had a dream, you're like, oh, that'd be a good idea? Whatever it was.
I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't remember, but I used to, or I mean, I kind of still do. Like, when I have a cool dream, I like write down what happens.
Yeah.
And I might, use that as my basis, as like
something to start on.
Yeah, like either like if I'm doing like a drawing, I would use that, like what inspired it, or like I would like use that idea to make that drawing. I don't know, or just like write about it or stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. And how would you describe inspiration? What's this kind of synonymous word, almost anomaly word that we all kind of we're like crackheads about it, right? Like we're looking for it, like we want it, right?
Yeah.
So what is this to you? Because I think that's the second most important thing to it. Yeah, the second thing. There's one more, but what is inspiration to you? What is this? How do you get there? What inspires you? What do you look for?
Inspiration. I think it starts with the feeling, like
that gut feeling, huh?
Yeah,
just like
like let's say, for example, you come back from like going out on a date, and
right.
It was like a great date. It was like it like made you happy, and you're like on your way home, like smiling, listening to music, like all good. And I feel like right there, like if you like capture that feeling, or like it doesn't necessarily have to be a date, but like something cool that has happened, it like turns on those endorphins, or like I don't know, like but I feel like
that dopamine, right?
Yeah, that dopamine. I feel like that is what like would inspire me to like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna like work on this movie script. I feel like it starts with a feeling. But I know that some people do get inspired like when they're like on their lowest, or not necessarily on their lowest, but when they're like sad, or like like
have you ever been inspired by sadness?
Yeah, I have a few times, and I feel like what
fuels?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you.
So I feel like what fuels it is when you like start to play like sad music, and like
you make it bigger, right?
Yeah,
you blow it up.
Yeah,
so you can look at it.
Yeah, you like make it explode, and then you're just like right there, like really sad, getting into like this like sad tunes, or like, and then like eventually you start like to like draw, and eventually like you'll draw something cool. Like, you know, like in the past you've heard that expression that like the greatest things comes from like the saddest moments, or I think the quote doesn't go like that, but it's
something like that. Yeah, I get you.
So, you know,
it's from that, right? And have you ever had an idea come to you out of nowhere? Like you were not even, your mindset was that you were probably just doing something normal, paying bills, going to the grocery store, you know, just literally sitting there watching some movie or TV or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Has that ever happened to you where it's just like, and you don't know why, but it seems so clear.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's right. That's it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love those. Those are probably one of those best things, because I think all humans are creative. Some of us just choose not to use that side of us. Mm-hmm. We all have it in us. We all do. Mm-hmm. Since we were born, like we mentioned earlier, we come from, that's part of our nature. It's like a glass of water. It's like, you know, we need it. It's part of how we function. Right? Yeah. But I do think a lot of people don't choose to use it, right? Because some people are okay. Some people just want to have family, go home, kiss the wife, raise the kids, you know, and that's okay too. We need y'all, because the U.S. is looking at Asia right now,
or, you know, any other country too.
Yeah. So, but I think I enjoy those moments so much, because that goes to show you that you're still working, that you're still trying to stay sharp at this, because I had my way of reaching creativity hasn't really changed, but it kind of has changed, but it's kind of different at the same time, but not a lot has changed since I've been creative since I was like 5, 6.
Since like you could like walk in.
Yeah, since I can recall, because I can remember all the way to I was 2 years old. I've always been creative, just the way I got out of stuff, right? But it is a muscle you have to work. It does get different. Yeah. But for me, not a lot of different, because I feel like a lot of the methods I've been using since the beginning still work for me, even at this age. So
yeah, like the part where you said it's like a muscle, like, and then to connect it where I said it's like a momentum, like if you like stop being creative, that muscle is gonna shrink. Yeah, and then you got to start all over. Like,
you know, that's one of my biggest fears. Yeah, like that's my biggest fear, is that one day I wake up and I can't recall that muscle no more. Damn. Like, if I'm honest too, because for me, creativity is not just, it's a lifestyle. It's the way I go to bed. It's the way I speak. It's the way I dress. It's the way I handle when I have to be professional in my workplace. It's everything I do. Right? It's creative for me. So to me, if I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I want to move that muscle, like I'm moving my shoulder right now, and I can't, that's gonna be hard, because creativity has kind of been my ship, where I can handle everything that happens to me and everything that happens around me, but creativity has always been that world I can create and be unlimited, and actually have a moment of real bliss, you know, like a real moment, not a fake moment, like that real moment that it's uncontrollable. You just get consumed, you start giggling, you start laughing, those moments, right? So what's kind of your process when you're working on something, when you're trying to come up with something, when you got an idea, you got a base, now you got to start developing it? How do you get creative? Is it an environment thing? Do you have to go walk around, like that type of thing, right? So what's kind of your thing?
No, so my thing, I would have to like organize it on paper first. I would have to, so
you literally would have to write it down.
Yeah, so I would just write the ideas on paper, and I would like connect the dots, you know, like I feel like let's say idea 1 would go well with idea 5, you know, and I would just, you know, connect the dots, eventually map it out on the paper, you know, like, you know how they teach you in school, you know, you gotta like write like your topics or whatever that you want to write for your essay, and then you eventually like organize it. You got your intro, you got your body, and then your conclusion. That's kind of how I.
That's the beginning. That's after you have get a base.
Yes.
So okay, so before you go any further, because I always notice this about you, and I kind of admire it, because I do not have it, and I'm sure you're gonna know when I say it. You're very organized.
Yeah. Not yet.
You. But even before you ended up doing the work
Mm-hmm.
that you do, so let's just say it like that. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Doing the work you do, right? Being part of what you're part of.
Oh yeah.
Even before going through all that, you've always been like, even like Javier, our engineer. Like you guys are organized, meticulous. You guys like things cleaned, like talk about that. And I'm pretty curious because I like what you just said. You have to start organizing the idea and the thought on paper, literally, for you to kind of start going. That's how you get your momentum, right? That's how you start flowing, right? So talk about where that comes from. What is that like? Because you're obsessive to a certain degree. You like the nice, tidy.
Kind of. No, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would ever get diagnosed with like
OCD.
Yeah, OCD. I don't even know what OCD stands for. I forgot. But
I can't recall it.
But I have a degree of like OCD. Not necessarily like where I have to like keep stuff clean and keep stuff like sanitized, but to the point where I want things organized. So let's say if I want to like pull something out that I need, it's like right there.
So
kind of like,
is it for you just for like the workspace to be better for you?
Yes, the workspace is important.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it.
But okay. Let me help you out. Is it like a feeling that's within type almost?
Yeah, you can say that. It's just something that I have to do. Like we have to be creative. To me, I have to stay organized to be creative.
To even allow yourself to go there, or to even get in that state of mind and get yourself in like game time.
Yeah.
Like this is what's gonna happen right now, and this is where I need to go.
Oh yeah.
So I need this to be nice and clean. So if I have to reach for that book to look up those drawings that I bought the other day, it's there, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And I feel like with being organized, it allows me to be faster to get that thought process and just have everything compiled right away. If I'm not organized, then that process will be scrambled. You're not
going to do anything. You're just going to leave it halfway. I don't want to do it right now. I'm going to quit. I'd rather watch this thing, right?
Right.
Because that happens too, right? And like I told you, I really admire that because I don't know, bro. Like I'm in the opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to creativity.
No, but like still, like if you're, it's not for every people, because there are people like have like they have like a very messy room, but it turns out they're like very good at like, I don't know, let's say for example making tattoos, like but they get very creative, like,
and that's the spectrum I am, because like I told you earlier, and I think this is probably the big difference between you and I's mind, is that I have, when I create, either metaphorically in my mind, or if it is in something like this environment that you find yourself in right now, I have to take everything out. I have to destroy everything. I have to smash this because I think it has to be this. I have to literally try it. Like, you know what I mean? My brain literally functions like, that's why. Right? So if my brain is that, my brain is an ongoing, it's like a waterfall that never stops. Especially when I'm creative, I have to go. And then if this thing doesn't work, we're getting it out. And then until I'm done, and I've got somewhere that is satisfactory, then I can clean. So
would you say that your brain is organized in a way, but not outside of your brain, if you know what I mean? Like
it's very organized in a creative way.
Yes.
But if we look at it as normal, far from it. But because I'm able to live a regular life. I know how to pay my bills, on how to get to my work on. But creatively, I need to organize it like that, because I like seeing everything in the moment. And maybe I'll say no to this right now, but maybe because I looked at this other thing, I can look back, okay, maybe this works with this.
Yes,
and then, you know what I mean? But I need to see everything. And then when I'm done and I've reached a satisfactory level of creativity,
Yeah.
I can clean. I can put everything away. I'm done.
Yeah. So
my work day is done. You know what I mean?
So you basically have like a file cabinet in your head with all these stuff that you see, and you got them stored, and you pick them out. So I was gonna say that. Okay, so we are pretty different. So let's say that I have a room that's organized,
right,
and you have like a messy room.
Yeah,
but
100%, literally.
Yeah, but I feel like we're the opposites tied. I feel like your brain is organized, but my brain is pretty scrambled.
So your outside has to be clean.
Yeah,
inside is
it's scrambled. Yeah, yeah. So I was gonna tell you that. So. Yeah, so exactly. So for you, that balance it out, because on the outside it's like messy and scrambled, but on the inside, So I feel like that's why I got to be organized on the outside.
Because in here, whirlwind.
Yeah. In here is like it's chaotic. So at least I have somewhere outside of my mind that's organized,
where it's okay and it's peaceful for you, right? Yeah. Yes. So. Yeah. that I 100% get it, because that's how I feel in my mind. In my mind, everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I could see things, right? Mm-hmm. Because to me, the way I'm creative, I have to see it here first before I can execute it out here, right? I have to. If I can't see it in there, it's not real to me. Right? That's how I believe things. If I can see it in there, like, okay, so now we have to bring it out, and now it's gonna really get messy. But I like that, because it's true. Because as you know, obviously, none of us are perfect, right? But yeah, my mind is the structure of my mind is pretty organized. I can function. I can do things. I can get things done. Mm-hmm. But it's a cause and effect thing. If it has to be organized in there, my reality is gonna be extremely messy, because it's just that.
For me, my reality has to be organized, because
it's already messed up.
It's already scrambled, like with a bunch of ideas and thoughts and
and let's talk about that momentum a little bit, because when I hear momentum, like for me, mm-hmm. like even when we're doing something like this, we're brainstorming, we're just kind of having a general conversation about an idea or something, like to me, it's like a faucet. When I get going, I get going.
Yeah.
Right. I have to keep going. Like it's a waterfall of different information, ideas, mm-hmm. of different things that I saw over here, and I can pull it back. Right.
Right.
That's why I like this format. Right. Because I don't have to write nothing down to see what I want to go, but it's there. It's flowing. Right.
Yeah.
So for you, what is that momentum? Is it a momentum of organization as you go? What is it? Because for me, it's a constant flow. I have to, as soon as I get to that flow, I'm good. Everything else, I'll figure it out as I go. But what's that rhythm for you? What's that? Is it just organization has to be conscious, has to be the base of everything?
It has to be the base. Once I'm organized out here, then I can like let out I can like basically like metaphorically, like I can like literally cut open my head and just empty it out, mm-hmm. because now that my place is organized, I won't have to be worried about the mess that my mind's gonna cause
from you trying to execute that.
Yeah. So, but feel like that's where the momentum is, because once I let out the mess on my now organized workspace, I can like literally like make stuff happen.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go a little bit into why do you think your brain functions in that way? Why is your mind at that point? What has happened that your mind is like that? Because I know why I'm like that, right? Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier when I introduced the cast, I didn't say specifics, but me and you are extremely close. Mm-hmm. You're like, you're literally family, just like Javier, right? Like you guys, I actually trust you guys, Mm-hmm. And me and you, we grew up in the same environment, but our POVs and our perspectives are two different ones. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I have mine. I know what happened to me. I know what I saw. right? And so what is that for you? Like, what is that POV? Because me and you are very clear. Well, I don't know if we're clear because, like I said, your perspective might be different. I don't know. So
yeah, my perspective changes, but
like from you growing up until
growing
now,
up, yeah.
obviously it's always gonna change. But what's that perspective of you growing up in that environment that we both essentially came from? It's complicated, right? So okay, so let me give you a little bit of what I've seen, right?
All right.
So my perspective is, I was brought here when I was 3 years old, right, with a very young mom, extremely young mom, right? She was in her early 20s, right?
Right.
Obviously, no real man in my life, right? That's how my story is, right? I've never had that father figure. Along with my mom, she came with her sister and her brother and her other older brother, right? And obviously we started from zero, scratch, piss poor, right? And at the time I was the only kid, right?
Right.
And you know, sleeping on the ground, you know, roaches, early on, living in the middle of downtown, you know? Yeah. And then with my mom's older brother, your mom's older brother that recently passed away, you know, you start seeing things with him, his lifestyle, what he was living. He was living on the wild side, you know, really wild. Oh, yeah. So for me, early on, not because I want to hear you, not is I've had to be awoken my whole life. I didn't really get to be a kid. Like I didn't get the. I'm not saying my childhood was horrible and bad, but I didn't get to be a kid because there was a lot of stuff that even the adults in my life had no control over.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, right. So I had to wake up early. I had to be conscious. That's why, like I say, I can remember my life until I was 2 years old. Because since then, I've been awake. So I've always had to be on my toes and my feet because either the police is gonna come knock, or like somebody's screaming somewhere, somebody's getting hit. You know what I mean? Not to go into. But so I had to wake up early. I didn't really get a childhood per se, and I'm not saying my childhood was bad, but I just because how everything went, I didn't really get to. I had to grow up really fast. I had to be the man before I even knew what the hell a man was. Right? I was like 10, right? Yeah. So but I always have to say this. My mom worked very hard. I never missed a meal. My birthdays were good. My Christmas were good because I was the only child. So I didn't. It's not like she had multiple kids. So like, as far as me as that, my mom worked her ass off, right? Right. But she, like I said, she worked a lot. She wasn't there, and she had a sister that sometimes things would happen. We would have to witness that, work with that, and make sure everything was safe. But I had to be conscious very early. I didn't get a childhood, and that's why I think part of my intelligence is because I went through that, right? I had like your mom always says, I didn't learn English in school. I learned English on the bus, riding around with her. Like I knew English before I started kindergarten. Like that's just the fact, right? Because I had to help her out. I had to like see what was going on, right? Oh yeah. So to me, obviously, I wouldn't change it because, like I told you, it made me who I am, and this is why I can do what I do, and I can see the world the way I see it. But it wasn't normal. It wasn't normal what we went through. It wasn't supposed to be like that for us, right? Because we should have gone normalcy, right? What Eduardo lives, right? Oh yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you see where I'm trying to go with this? Yeah. Yeah, like we didn't get that. No. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I learned a lot. I laughed, I cried. There was a lot of emotions. It made me smarter. It made me aware of myself and my surroundings. It made me be smarter, right? Right. But I didn't have a childhood, right? I didn't have a father figure, right? I had to learn a lot of things on my own. I had to figure out a lot of things on my own because everybody was working. Remember that? Oh yeah. And I had to go to school and get back. So I've been, like, Edward asked me, because I remember I was telling him about when I was in soccer, and he's like, so who took you to him? I'm like, bro, I took myself to the game. It was me. Yeah. Right? Like, you know what I mean? And it's been like that since we lived in downtown. I had to figure stuff out for it's like that. And I have 100% peace. I don't blame my mom. I don't blame your mom. I don't do that. I'm cool with it. That's why I work so hard now, because we have another level to reach, right? But I have peace with it. I appreciate it, right? But I feel like for you and your younger brother, it was very different, and it was very a level of harsher. That it was weird, because I went through it too, but for some reason, and I think the big point is that my mom was my mom and your mom was your mom. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was I think it was way harsher for you guys, and that's why. And you guys, it was just. But I went through the same thing. But the difference was that my mom was my mom. You know what I mean? But your mom, you know where I'm trying to go. So kind of, and just to give you an idea where I want you to kind of take that thought. So from that perspective, what do you think?
No, yeah. So my childhood, it was like, oh, we're about to go to like a little therapy session.
Yeah, basically. Let's go.
So my childhood, yeah. So it was pretty rough, and I feel like I had to be more aware of my environment. I had to like have more attention to detail.
Right.
So maybe that's where so that's where I became more organized. That's where I was
chaos sometimes.
Yeah. So I feel like, yeah. So attention to detail, like that also comes to the art that I make. Like the little details is very important to me.
Real quick, would you say that that's what kind of keeps you happy and balanced and like gives you meaning? Those little things.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily like little things, but like the little details in things, you know.
Yeah, because another thing that I really admire about you, Oscar, is that you have a really big heart, bro. Like.
Yeah. So I was gonna get. I was gonna get to that. So my childhood, like, I guess. You know, you obviously know that when I was younger, I was like so angry. I was just like mad, you know, like at the world, at people. But I feel like I learned from that, because I don't remember the last time I was like really pissed off about something.
Genuinely angry.
Yeah, like angry, you know?
Yeah, like violently.
Yeah. I don't
recall.
Yeah, so I don't recall or remember the point in my life where that stopped and where I developed a heart, you know. I love family, I love friends, I try to be nice to people. I don't know at what point, if it was in my childhood or in my early teens, but I just like, I guess you can say that I became sensitive. But
after you kind of found peace or whatever you were angry at, right?
Yeah. So after I found peace, after I let my anger go, I like, you know, a little bit of Buddhism or whatever.
Of course. I mean, you're technically Buddhist.
And
not practicing anymore, but you definitely, you know.
Yeah, like no, but I feel like that's my perspective in life. I like to notice the little details in people and things, because so much chaos was happening in my childhood, and you know, getting older, I like realized, I don't know, like I just like. It
wasn't, you found peace with that chaos that you came from. You because like you said earlier, when you were a teenager, you were a little hard-headed, hothead, like you were ready to go, brother.
Like maybe like,
because I literally have memories where I was going to my next period in high school, and then the security guard, or they would call my name on the intercom, and they're like, oh, to the front office. I'm like, what the hell did I do? And I got to the front office ready to get in trouble. I don't even know what I did, but I was ready. They're like, oh, do you have a cousin in Lumberg? They can't find him. And it was you. And I had to go walk across the street and go figure it out.
No, yeah, it's the first time I ditched school. It was like in like third grade.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th. You started acting up early. But anyways, like you said,
who ditches school in elementary? Like
you, yeah, you did. Because I remember kid Jesus Olivas come to the front office. I'm like, what? I'm like, I just got back from lunch. I'm like, I didn't even smoke today. I'm like,
oh shit.
Because back then we were smoking prime times or like whatever, little joints, little blunts, stuff like that.
No, yeah, like.
So yeah, but like you were said, because that's another thing. I even admire that by your brother, and he doesn't even know it. He has it yet, but he has it. I hope he finds peace. If you're listening, but you guys get that from your mom, bro. Like 100%. Because I'm not saying my mom doesn't have a big heart, and she's not empathetic and she's not emotional. But my mom is different. Like you guys know.
She expresses. I guess she expresses her love a little bit different.
She's a little more cold, if we're just honest. Obviously, she's much better with her second son, and she's better with Eduardo and stuff. But she's cold.
Yeah.
I got the cold version, right? That's just what it is. That's why, because you guys always had that heart, you know what I mean? That's why it's always been harsher for you. Because me, and not just her, like the people, the person that's supposed to be my dad, like I'm well versed on where I come from, so I know I'm not just cold because of my mom, or I could be cold because of my mom. I'm cold because of that family line that runs through me too, and like the issues they deal with, it's in me too. But that's why it was harsher for you, because me, or like from 10 to 22, 23, I was cold.
10
man.
what? 10
years old.
Okay, yeah.
To 22, 23 years old, I was cold, man. I was cold.
So you found your peace like after 22, you would say, or
not definitely some peace, but I found the other layers of me that do exist too. The emotional stuff. I found how to handle that, because from 10 to 23, 22, I was literally cold, man. Nothing fazed me. Nothing. I could see the most craziest thing in front of me. I'm like, okay, I just gotta wait for the cops, maybe the firefighters, right? Oh shoot, they're like, these kids are screaming, crying. Well, let's put them in the room, let the cops come. Like I was able to turn that part off my mind so I could just deal with the chaos. Because
yeah. So one thing that I realized when I got older, it was hard for me to understand when somebody was happy or sad or mad. Like if I saw somebody crying, I don't know, just like turning the other direction. Yeah, no.
You wouldn't feel anything. Yeah.
No, so I feel like that's something what the childhood gave us. Like, I feel like that's where my cold comes from. I can't understand people's emotions.
Yeah, and I still struggle with that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same. Yeah. I still struggle with it today. Like, that was one of the feedbacks I got from when I did training to be a supervisor. That
for your job.
Yeah. So for my job, the biggest feedback is that I have trouble understanding people's emotions. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Because I have a big heart. Like, I want to give you love. I want to be happy. I want to like be kind, you know? But at the same time, when you want to be kind back to me, I can't understand that too much.
Oh, you can't accept it. And you're like, it almost feels weird. Like, nah, I'm okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Are you good though? Like,
yeah.
I'm dying inside.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that goes to what you said earlier, like what you said, messy in your head, organized in my mind, but messy opposite. That's our opposites, because now at 31 years old, I'm way better at understanding emotion. But when it comes to me, like me, I'm like, what?
No, yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Like I just turned 25, and I feel like I'm barely getting to like understand people's emotions.
Yeah, like the empathy is growing back, right?
Yeah.
Because I might not have the biggest heart in that way, because I'm a little like, when I don't want something, I'm gonna be very straightforward and let you know and put that line, right? But I am very empathetic. Like, I have to understand people, because it's just because and tell me if this is true to you. The way I was raised, and I'm gonna say me because I'm only gonna speak for me in this point, but the way I was raised to love crazy. You
were raised to love crazy. I was raised to adapt to crazy. I was raised to like I was raised to make crazy my friend, you know.
Yeah. And in a way, I was too, because I remember in very specific moments when I was 11, 12, and I'm not gonna share this story because I'd rather share it with you first off camera and mic, because it's about your mom. So, and I just want to make sure you're okay with it. But going back to our creativity, because I think our creativity is linked to our instability that we have. Because we definitely have them. Yeah. I know I have them.
Oh, no, yeah,
I'm 100% aware of why I am the way I am, why sometimes I'm depressed, sometimes I don't want to talk to nobody, I don't want to be around nobody, why I wear all black. I'm very aware of why I do things in my life at this point, right? Yeah. But creativity helped me, man. Creativity saved me. My imagination saved me.
No, yeah, I think it saved a lot of people on this planet, like...
Yeah, it literally saved me, man, because what chaos was to me was an opportunity to play.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? Like, it was an opportunity to try things. It was an opportunity to, let's see how far we can push this before the police come, right?
Yeah.
Because, so one thing you have to know, and I hope you see, I don't know, right?
So chaos is a opportunity?
For me, it was a normal opportunity. I got so used to it where it just became normal, and I accepted that this was my life as of that point. And after I accepted that, I was like, it's playtime, right? And as soon as I understood that, that's when my imagination came in. And like I said, I hope you see it, right? But I'm gonna say it to you again. Like, you know, I don't really acknowledge other family members, bro. I've made that very clear how.
I mean, our family is like small, and it's always been.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and we're not getting into the politics of that, but I don't acknowledge aunties. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I acknowledge your mom. She's my only auntie. She's the one I love.
No, yeah. So I think getting older, like, I think there's a reason why we call our auntie by their first name, because I feel like we don't see them as an auntie, more like probably like a sister, or like...
Yeah, me and your mom went through a lot of stuff together, bro. Like, from the most negative, dark stuff to the most positive things, and even in the middle of that chaos, these beautiful moments. So this is what I meant to say, right? The reason why I love your mom, the reason why I'm always going to look out for her, and I'm always going to look out for you guys, because she did the same for me, first of all, right? She helped my mom in a lot of ways before she had you guys, right? And but your mom has a certain insight, man. Like, you don't...
like a certain intuition or something?
Yeah, like your mom, even, and like I said, I'm not going to go further into that side of things, just because, but even in those moments of chaos, let's call it that, she had so much insightful moments of genius, bro. You don't understand. Like, that's one thing that really always taught me. Like, because, like, and I'm trying to say this in a way where I don't have to say this so much, but my playtime was those moments. Asking her questions, pushing her. Not pushing her physically, like, but pushing her mentally as she was losing hers, right? Is to say it like that. But those moments were, like... And I have to say this to you because I always say it in front. Like, your mom was my first science experiment, real science experiment, right? Yeah. And I learned a lot, right? Because I don't know if you know, sometimes I was the one to make sure she got her medications. I was the one, because it was summer, everybody was working, and I had to make sure she got her medication, right? But sometimes she didn't get her medication, right? Because I wanted to see her, and sometimes she would sit with me, and like I would have to keep her focus on me. But those moments where she was here and she was losing at the same time, she had these insightful moments that it was just mind blowing, bro. Like, I was just like that's what I mean by playing the chaos. I learned, and that's where my creativity, imagination kicked in. That's where I learned that I could be creative, and I can make this horrible environment that I'm in a way better, beneficial one for me, right? Yeah, definitely. And for me to survive. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, but anything else you want to say on that part?
No.
One last question, and it might sound selfish. it might sound a little selfish, but
no, it's all good, man.
But like I said, what's your perspective on me? Like, how do you see things? Like, because in all honesty, I've had my bad moments with you, your younger brother, where I haven't been my best, 100%. I know that. I admittedly know that, right? So, what's kind of your perspective on, just because we were brothers more than cousins in reality?
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean? Like
you
said earlier, like it was we grew up in this weird way that nobody else. We had to go through certain things that nobody else went through, right?
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, like I think that's the reason why I call my auntie by her first name, is because I see her like, as a older sister or something, you know.
Facts.
So no, I definitely noticed the cold part in you. I didn't really care too much about it. I like I said, I adapt to it. So if you're gonna be cold, that's fine. I'll like work with you on that. I mean,
early on, that was very cool.
No, yeah. So I feel like you're a very dedicated person. Like, if you wanna go out and do something, you'll go and do it, no doubt. I feel like you definitely have heart. You probably like don't know how you express it, but you definitely like have heart in a way where people notice and people want you like to work with them on a project or something, you know.
Gotcha.
Like, I feel like you inspire people too.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say to the folks before we get out of here?
No, that's about it. We'll probably do another session about like why I like stutter a little bit.
I was gonna get into that, but it's about the 18.
Oh no, yeah, it's okay. So I think I was surprised that I didn't stutter too much in this.
You did great, man.
Yeah, because I do have like a little stuttering problem that I've been trying to like get better at it, but
and that goes along with the environment, right, where we came from, right?
Yeah, like if it's an organized environment, I probably won't stutter, but if it's messy as fuck, then
it's just and that gets back to this organization in your mind, right?
No, yeah.
Well, hopefully, before you go back to your job and back to your international living, we can definitely have another session.
Oh yeah.
And then the last thing I want to say is, first of all, thank you, sir.
Oh no,
I appreciate everything. Thank
you for having me, man. It was great. It's my like first.
It feels good, right?
Yeah.
It's not too crazy once you just get country and catch that flow of conversation. It's like you forget this is going on.
Yeah. So
the last thing I want to say, shout out to Javier for engineering the session. Please come see us, Mixcloud, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, Gatinsila. Come see us. We will have our regular stream today. I'll probably put the link in the bio, all that good stuff. And this has been another episode of the Higher Thought Cast. Peace.
Later.